Well, welcome back to another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Frank.
And today's episode is episode number 92, and we're going over tips to have a smooth embarkation day. Let's jump into it.
Well, today we've got a great topic, maximizing the first day on board. And, this is going straight from whether you're flying in the day of or you're, staying at a hotel close to the cruise port all the way through that first day, really, of getting your bags and getting settled into your cruise vacation. We're going to talk a lot about tips to just maximize that time and really make the most of that day. If you're on a 7-night cruise, that first day is not maybe as critical as if you're on a 3-night cruise. And if you are on a 3-night cruise, it's just super important because that's really your first day and you have 2 more days to kind of enjoy the ship. So we're going to talk about how you make the most of that first day on board. But before we do, Michael, you just dropped the MSC Seashore vlogs. So quick reminder to those that are listening, if you are interested in just seeing what that ship is like, you can go check us out on YouTube at Cruise Conversations Podcast. We have some Icon vlogs that are up, Utopia of the Seas. I'm also working on the next Icon one, and you're also working on your next MSC vlog. So just make sure you go give them a like. That helps us out, make sure that we can show you more content and helps the algorithm out as well. So thank you for everyone who's been liking those videos and obviously subscribed on YouTube. But we've got some really good cruise news, Michael. So why don't you kick us off with some big news with Captain Kate?
Yeah, Frank. So a couple weeks back in cruise news, we were talking about how Captain Kate had announced she was finished sailing with Celebrity Cruises. She had spent over 2 decades at the Royal Caribbean Group, about the last decade with Celebrity Cruises. She actually just announced this past week she's going to be joining Four Seasons on their inaugural captain on their first luxury super yacht.
Awesome, man. That is so awesome.
Yes, like we've seen with her social media posts she's done on Celebrity Cruises. I'm sure, it'll be super cool to kind of, hopefully she continues her little captain vlogs and show some of the behind the scenes of what it's like to be the cruise captain of a super yacht.
Yeah, it'd be really cool just to see what it's like to be a captain of kind of these smaller, I don't know if I want to call it a cruise ship, but kind of luxury yacht experience and kind of have the behind the scenes. And I'm sure she's going to do like some comparisons of I'm sure it's very different, right? Like being in charge of thousands and thousands versus you can create a more tailored, personalized experience on something like Four Seasons where there's only maybe a couple hundred people on board. So I think she's going to do a great job. And especially after I hear some of the reviews from other people on YouTube on how she made Celebrity feel like such an awesome experience on board, I can't imagine what she's going to do like on something that's so small like a Four Seasons yacht. So pretty cool. Excited for Captain Kate. The next one we have in terms of cruise news is that this is kind of a controversial one, but Royal added a new inaugural sailing for Star of the Seas. It's another 3-night. Originally, I think they were targeting August 31st to be the first sailing. Then it became, I think, the 27th, the 24th. Now it's the 23rd, and some big news for me. I'm actually going to be on this sailing. So the controversial part of this is that people are, one group of people are like, hey, Royal's doing this on purpose. They are continuing to have me book the inaugural, which I thought was going to be the 31st. Then they, moved me over to this one, and I'm paying all this money, and I thought I was going to be on the inaugural. But they just keep saying that the ship is going to be ready, sooner. So rather than just have it sitting with no guests, let's go ahead and add another cruise. So really beneficial for me because I got on this 3-night cruise. And so now I'm like fingers crossed that this is the last time that they move it up. But definitely annoying for people that originally thought they were going to be on the first one and now have moved to the first one, which is now a 3-night cruise. I don't even think this one stops at Nassau. But that would be, it's just going to be Coco Cay and a sea day, I believe. I should know because I'm booked on it, but I really didn't even look at it, too many of the details. But there's no way I'm even going to get off the ship at Coco Cay. Like, I'll just stay on the ship and do some videos and the ship is totally the reason why you would book this anyway. So going to really enjoy. Maybe I'll get off for the chicken sandwich, actually. You know what? I'll get off for the chicken sandwich, but it is going to be an awesome 3-night cruise in August. I'm excited about that. And definitely a little bit annoying for those that have booked the original inaugural, but I don't know. It's just what they had to do in order to make money off the ship. They wanted to make money as soon as possible. At the end of the day, it's a $2 billion cruise ship or $1.9 billion cruise ship. So they wanted to make money as soon as they can.
Yeah, and the ones that were booked on the original inaugural, I mean, that's still the first week-long cruise on this. Like you said, all these other ones they're added are just 3 days.
I would
you're still
love
going to be the first people on the week-long sailing.
Yeah, you'd much rather be on a week long than 3 nights anyway. So pretty cool, and I'm excited to let you guys know my thoughts on Star of the Seas of Summer. Michael, what's next in terms of cruise news for today?
Yeah, so the next piece of news we got, last week we were talking about some of the new entertainment coming to Virgin Voyages. This week, MSC's kind of announced some new entertainment coming to the MSC Virtuosa, starting with Dirty Dancing in Concert. So this is a new show they announced that's going to be on the World America, but I guess they already announced, hey, we're going to throw it on another ship too. The cool thing with this show is it's a live-to-film concert. So you're going to have live singers, dancers, band, all that live, but they can be performing in sync with the movie. I think it's like a 90-minute show overall. So that's super cool. And then after the show ends, kind of like they're doing an after-party kind of type thing with like a sing-along. So
that's cool.
I'm guessing this is probably going to be in like the center atrium of the ship where they've kind of do like their white parties and some of their other parties. So it'd be kind of cool to see it kind of go from the show to then a big party afterwards with the music. And then they've also announced 2 other shows that are going to be coming to the Virtuosa, one being hits of ABBA and one being hits of Michael Jackson. So they're continuing to, just expand their entertainment that they're offering on the ship. I know I'm not too sure how, like, ship to ship their entertainment varies. I know kind of like vlogs I've seen other people sail the seashore. All of, like, our shows tend to be the same. But as like a fleet, I'm not. So, I mean, I think this is kind of them, like we said, the Dirty Dancing was already coming to the MSC World America and now kind of trying to bring, like we said, new entertainment because obviously at the end of the day in the evenings, entertainment is what a lot of people care about. And while they may not have like the aqua theaters and ice skating rinks like Royal has, they had not yet, but their main theater, I mean, you want to still bring the best shows you can to your people.
And you're a big ABBA guy now.
Yeah, for Mamma Mia. I still need to go back and watch it. Every weekend, I'm like, I think I have some time to start it. You know what I started last night? Wicked. Wicked's on Peacock
now. Wicked is now on Peacock, which is pretty cool. You can stream it for free, so that's pretty nice. But no, this is awesome. You know me, love good theater shows, and the last one we saw, Mamma Mia, it was so awesome. I was jamming the whole time. So this is cool. And I think that the whole thing with having the music and going to the movie will definitely add a new element. So that's awesome. The next thing that we have is Norwegian. So we're actually talking about 4 different cruise lines today, which is pretty good. Norwegian is, they just conducted their preview sailing from Lisbon. This is for media, content creators, travel agents. So we've been kind of following this week, but the weather was not super great that first night, so they had a delayed boarding, and they ended up staying in the port the first night, which is never great for a preview sailing. But we did see Emma Cruises that she posted the aqua coaster, and dude, it looks pretty cool. We're gonna have to talk about it next week with her.
Yeah.
Shout out Emma Cruises. She'll be on next week as of now, so that's really, really cool. But I'm excited about the Norwegian Aqua. I think this is a new, and we're gonna get her thoughts hopefully next week as well. But from my perspective, as an outsider who hasn't been on the ship and hasn't really seen too much, it just looks like the entertainment, the food venues, it all looks like the best of the best that Norwegian has, and I'm excited about that.
All right, well, let's jump into our topic today. Like you were saying at the start, Frank, we're going over 8 different tips we have written down of ways to have a smooth embarkation day. Because like you said, especially if you're on a 3-night cruise, this day means a lot because it's already a 30-year cruise by the time it's over. So these tips we're going to go through, we're kind of, like we said, to have a smooth day overall. So the first tip we have for you is travel down the night before. Yep. We talk about this pretty much every time we record an episode, either us talking, like recapping a cruise, or we have people come on and talk, and that's always kind of the first thing you ask, like, what did your travel down look like? And everyone goes, well, we traveled in the night before. And, if it's your first time cruising, you may not think about that, right? You may try and book a flight the morning of or drive down the morning of, but at the end of the day, your flight may get delayed, or you may have car issues, and these are things that are going to majorly impact your embarkation. You may not even make it to the ship at the end of the day. So like we said, you're going to want to get down the night before, get yourself a hotel, an Airbnb, something that's pretty close to the port, or even if you have a long drive, maybe you get within an hour. So you just have that small little part to finish up that first day. Because at the end of the day, you want to get a good night's rest before. I mean, try and sleep. I know we always talk like for us, it's kind of hard to fall asleep that night before the cruise because we're just anxious to get on the ship. But I mean, think about it. If you're trying to do like a 5 a.m. flight or something to get down there, think about how early you're getting up to get to the airport. That your embarkation day is just going to become super long.
If you want to see that, go watch my Utopia of the Seas. My Utopia of the Seas day one. I flew in. I think Scotty drove me to the airport at like 4 a.m. and it was a mess. Like you said, you're so tired. And in that night when you have dinner and you're like really dragging on, if it's a 3-night cruise, you're not like in the mood to really like, you just want to go to bed at that point. So, yeah. I mean, you can take a nap and everything, but just it's maybe a little bit more expensive to fly in the night before because you have a hotel cost, but it's totally worth it, especially if you're doing a short cruise. All right, our second tip for embarkation day is to choose an early boarding time, right? The earlier you board the ship, the sooner you get to start your vacation. There's some cruise lines that don't board earlier in the morning, like Virgin. So honestly, just research what that process is like for your cruise line that you're going on. I know with Royal and Celebrity and Carnival, you can get on pretty early, usually around 11 o'clock, maybe even a little bit before. I think I was on Utopia at like 10:15. Which was super early, probably one of the earliest I've ever been on a cruise ship in embarkation day. But for Virgin, for example, you may not get on until 1, 2 o'clock. And so just understand what that looks like and plan your day around that. But ultimately, you're paying for that first day. So just get on. I think get on as soon as you can. Maximize the time that you get to eat the food on board and, drink the drink package that you paid for and on all those things, right? Obviously, if you're coming in and you're working that day, or you may be in Florida listening to this, and it's like you go on cruises every month, so it may not be as important to you. But for those that don't cruise as much, I think this is a good tip. Try to get on as soon as possible.
All right, so the third tip we have is having a plan for your luggage when you get to the port. If you've never cruised before, when you pull up to the terminal, everything's going to seem super chaotic, especially if you're like in an Uber, because you're going to have people like telling them, come in. And then, I mean, they're trying to get these Ubers, taxis in and out. You're going to have the porters who work for the port are going to be trying to like figure out how many bags you're checking with them. So some tips with this just from the start. 1, have some small cash to tip the porters with. 2, you're going to want to make sure any passports, birth certificates, medication that you're going to need are not in these suitcases. Because if you check the bags with the porters, you're not going to have your bags probably till a little bit later on in the afternoon or the evening. Another tip, too, of why you kind of want to check your bags in with the porters is depending on the cruise line. Like Celebrity, I think, lets you go drop your bags off at your room a little bit early. Carnival, depending on your status, you can put them in the room.
If you have the key on Royal, I think you get access to dropping your bags off. So there's some scenarios where it may be better to bring your bag on board. But yeah, Michael.
But if you don't have any of that, you're going to be lugging around your suitcase all around the ship until your rooms are ready, which sometimes may not be till 1, 1:30, 2 o'clock, depending on the cruise line and when the rooms are ready to get in. And the last thing you want to do is be going through the buffet line, trying to bring all your luggage along and try and find a table to throw all your stuff at. So like we said, check your luggage in with your porters. Print your luggage tags at home.
Yes.
Okay. And make sure, we like to use little plastic covers that attach to your bags. Because my last cruise on MSC, I had 2 suitcases and I had 1 luggage tag in one of the plastic containers. My other suitcase, I had to have the porter staple a tag on, and the tag came off throughout the process, and I had to go find my bag at guest services that first night.
So yeah, those things are like, I mean, you could buy those little luggage tag holders on Amazon for like $5. It's, to me, like, it's just like insurance. Like, it's $5. You have them forever, unless you lose them or throw them away on accident. Like, totally worth it to not have to ever go to guest services, hopefully, right? It's just kind of like insurance to say, like, if it does rip, it's in a thing that's just like not going to tear. So I think they're worth $5, honestly.
And then the last thing we kind of have with this tip is, bring a backpack on with you with things you are going to need. So like I said, you're going to want your passports in here, birth certificates. You may, if you're going to want to take advantage of the pools on day 1, either wear your swimsuit right on you or have that in your backpack too.
Sunscreen,
yep. Because like any of this stuff, like we said, anything you're going to want to take advantage of, because you're not going to see your suitcase till later on in the evening.
By the way, it's not like the airlines where like you have a limit on how much liquids you actually if you are bringing on any bottles of wine, which you are allotted wine on most cruise lines where you can bring 1 to 2 bottles, put that in your carry-on bag with you. It's going to
Yeah.
alleviate any concerns. Also, do you really want them to be throwing your luggage around with like bottles of wine? So you would bring those in your backpack as well. And there's no limit for the liquid. So don't worry about like, oh, this, that's only for the airlines, 3.4 ounces. But on the cruise ship, you can bring, as big a sunscreen as you really want to carry with you in your bag. So don't think it's like the same rules of, hey, I got to put this in a checked bag.
Yeah, that's a great point, Frank. Because like we said, this is your first day of your cruise. I know when we get on the ships, we like to get on and kind of go to a bar, find a drink, and then go spend time on the pool deck and take advantage of that first day. Frank, I know you did kind of this on Icon. Tell us about what you did here.
Yeah, so on Icon, I brought my bathing suit with me, and we ended up taking advantage of the slides. And I think if you read a lot of the reviews of Icon of the Seas, if you're on a sea day or you are trying to hit the slides at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a beautiful day, the slides are going to be a long line. I mean, it's a big ship, a lot of people, but we actually did this right when we got on board that first day. We're like, let's go ahead and knock it out. I think we actually just unpacked our room and then we went to the slides, and dude, there was no lines. We did every slide at least one time on that first day. And then we're like, man, those are awesome. Let's go do them again. Like we were doing them the whole cruise, but that first day we were able to really take advantage of something that is a highly sought after activity. And so if you are looking to do slides or any of the activities on board, first, make sure that they're open during that time, but then two, plan for it with your clothing that you bring with you and kind of have a plan for how you're going to tackle that first day. So Michael, actually, before you can hit the water slides at the pool, there's probably one more thing you want to do. You can do your tequila shot. You can do your tequila shot when you get on board, but maybe I would go ahead and knock this out right after the tequila shot.
Yeah.
Do your muster drill and any other pre-cruise items, right? So I know with Royal, you can do a lot of the e-muster in the app. You actually have to do like a health questionnaire before you even get to the port. I think that's within 24 hours of boarding. You can do a health questionnaire in the app. All of these things just really make your life easier. There's some cruise lines where you have to watch a video in your stateroom and then go check in at the muster station. I think Disney's still actually doing muster drills. So it just kind of depends on the cruise line and what their process is. But if you can, get this out of the way as soon as possible, just so you don't have to deal with it again later. Like they'll call your name over the intercom and it's super annoying for all of us that have already done this, but that first day, it's just good to get this done as soon as possible. And that's your last thing you have to do, kind of like to knock off your checklist before you can really enjoy your cruise. So this is kind of what we did. We grabbed a drink on Allure of the Seas. I think we got those stout espresso martinis. Yeah. Immediately kind of down those boys and went to go do our muster drill. And then we were good to go. So this is our tip. Make sure you knock this out as soon as possible.
All right, so the next point we have on our list is, like we said, you finished your muster drill and maybe you have a drink in you now. It's time to eat. It's time to go get some lunch in you. Check to see if there's some other places open for lunch outside of the buffet. The crew members are really going to kind of push you, hey, the buffet opens at this time, kind of go there next. Because obviously they're trying to get everybody from where you're getting on the ship out of the center atrium, like trying to disperse the crowds pretty much. And obviously, it's going to be pretty crowded at this point, now the buffet. So yeah, like I said, go try and check your app, or ask a crew member. They may know if other places are open on the ship. Could it be the perfect time on Carnival to go check out Guy's Burgers or Blue Iguana at the start, or even on Royal Caribbean, on our Allure cruise, we went down to Park Cafe, had a sandwich and salad there, and kind of just spent time in Central Park, and it wasn't crowded. That was the nice thing.
It was so quiet. You could hit Solarium Bistro, you could hit Boardwalk, there's so many spots. Honestly, this is also a good time to do a specialty restaurant as well. Sometimes they do different deals on Embarkation Day. So if you get on board, this might be a time where you're like, hey, I'm going to spend $10 to $15 a person to just not have to deal with the situation going on at the buffet.
Yeah.
So that's also another good option for lunch. Another tip for Embarkation Day, and this is not really to make it necessarily a smooth Embarkation Day, but more so to set the rest of your cruise up for success, is to go ahead and make sure that you are good with your dining and entertainment reservations if it's required, right? Not all cruise lines really require reservations, but if you do need a reservation, for example, if you're sailing on Royal's Oasis class or anything where you need entertainment reservations, go ahead and make sure you take care of those. You can check those in the app. You can also go to the box office. You can go to a specialty restaurant to make those reservations. Also, you could do a lot of the reservations in the app when you're on the ship Wi-Fi. So that's also a good tip because honestly, if you hit it in that morning time of like 11:30, noon. Less people are on board. And once you're on that Wi-Fi, you have access to do some of these things yourself. You can also go talk to a crew member and they'll help you out as well. But these are important, right? And this could save you a lot of time with having to wait in lines, especially if you have kids or a family and you're like trying to get the group to wait for a show and you're on the standby line. It's just not a good deal. So take the time on that first day while you're just kind of, again, going through your checklist to make sure you're good to go on your dining reservations as well as your entertainment options as well.
Yeah, Frank, that's a good point. And like you said, that kind of really helps to make sure the rest of your cruise goes pretty smooth. And this next point is going to kind of go with that too. It's making sure you unpack your suitcases that first day when you get them and meet your cabin steward. I think one thing we both do is pretty much when we get our suitcases, we unpack. I mean, it only takes, 20, 30 minutes at most to get everything put away. And then you're just not living out of your suitcase the entire week. You kind of have your spots for everything. And then, like we said, meet your cabin steward because, we had Ganesh on our last Allure of the Seas cruise. Shout out Ganesh. But there were some things we had to get done, right? Your and Ben's bed was still pushed together at the time.
We definitely had to fix that one.
We had to fix that.
We wanted to align on the times. A lot of times they want to know, do you want cleaning in the morning, the night?
Yep.
What did we said nighttime, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you do want that nap time during the day. So it's nice to come back from the pool, or maybe you're coming back from an excursion, or even you're getting ready and then you go out to dinner and you come back at night and your bed's put together. So I like the nighttime, but it's good to align on that stuff.
Yeah.
This last one's kind of a bonus tip. Michael, I think you added this one, maybe from experience, but you said if you have a drink package, you don't have to do all the drinks on day one.
Exactly. And I mean, obviously, depending on the people you're with, or if it's like a bachelor party or stuff like that, it may look a little different. But especially, I mean, we've talked, obviously, it's much easier to get a drink package on a 3-4 night cruise than a week-long cruise. By the time you're 3-4 days in on a week-long, you're kind of done with it. But really, just the side of it, you don't want to go too hard on day one where you just feel terrible the second day. And so, like we said, pace yourselves that first day. Drink some electrolytes. Bring some of that with you on the ships, or some of the ships have Powerades or Gatorades or some of that.
I really liked the juices that we were getting at the Vitality Cafe on Allure. You could go grab like a fresh ginger juice. So you're still making use of your drink package, just not getting booze. You're taking a little break,
Exactly, yeah. Because like I always said, at the end of the day, you just don't want to feel terrible that second day on your cruise.
These are the tips that we think will help make your embarkation day just a little bit better. Again, if you're on a 7-night, even longer cruise, it's less important really to maximize that first day. But if you're on a 3 or 4 night, it's really important to make sure that you stick to these tips to make sure that you have a great day on board and a stress-free vacation overall. This is going to wrap up our tips for a smooth embarkation day. Again, we hope that you guys enjoyed these tips. We hope that you can put them into practice and write us in. Let us know what you think. If we missed one, if you have your own tips, we'll make sure we cover that on a future episode and we'll give you a little shout out. Let us know if there's something that we missed. Also, let us know. You can text us if you have any Q&A questions. We would love to cover those in a future Q&A segment. You can send us an email at cruiseconversations@gmail.com. You could reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, and you can do that, again, at Cruise Conversations. Also, if you're looking for support with your upcoming cruise booking, we'd love to help you as travel agents. You can shoot us a text at 704-313-8556. Probably the quickest way, or you can send us there's a form in the link of this episode, and you can fill it out, a jot form link, and let us know what you're looking for. If you already have a cruise kind of picked out, we can make sure we get you the best price as well as any onboard credit or promotions at this time. With that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast, and we will see you back here next Wednesday.